Howdy gamer, this video is going to go over the runes for Braum coming into Season 10. Not a lot has changed from Season 9. If you played a lot of Braum back then the runes haven't really changed, but the purpose has changed as experience in the bot lane has changed, and then the support's function varies in different degrees depending on the game state. So I'll be talking about that too, but this video is mostly just explaining like why to run the runes that you do on Braum. So if you're interested in that, that's what this video is. So starting off with the keystone, pretty basic for what Braum wants to do as Guardian. Whenever you're near an ally who takes damage, or if you're casting your W or your E on top of them, then you're going to proc Guardian. So if they're taking damage, you W to them, then it's going to give you a shield, it's going to give them a shield, and then it gives you both bonus movement speed. The shield is on a pretty significant cooldown early game. It starts at 70 seconds and then goes to 40, so you're basically sitting at like a 60-second cooldown at all stages of the game, because you're realistically not getting past like level 11 as support in most matches. So basically what that means is like in the laning phase, it's going to proc about 1 to 4 times before first recall, and then once it procs in the laning phase, then it's going to be down for a considerable amount of time, and then you have to factor that in if you're going to either take an all in or if the enemy like has a window to attack you or your AD during the time that it's down. During a team fight as well, it's also important that if you're spinning your W on someone who's engaging, the shield and movement speed can help them engage, but if it's not necessary, then you lose out on a huge shield for your carry on champions that are going to be diving on top of them. So you do have to be mindful of like how you're spinning it throughout a team fight, or just at different stages of the game. But yeah, the main way you want to use it in the laning phase is whenever you can move forward to use your shield to say block poke abilities from enchanter supports, because they usually have one ability to poke. You move forward, you block that, and then if they're trying to spin it on your AD, then you just stand right next to them, and then that damage is blocked, and auto attack can be blocked. Just blocking like little bits of damage throughout the laning phase makes it so that your AD is healthier and then can CS a lot easier, and then you just have a better lane state because of it. So very, very useful rune. The shield also scales with bonus health, so that's pretty nice. Pretty nice for support. Second rune is going to be Font of Life. Braum's actually one of the best users of this rune in the game. Whenever you impair the movement of an enemy, it marks a champion. Whenever your allies hit them, they heal a little bit. So in the laning phase, anytime you take a trade, or no, every time you land your Q and take a trade, then your AD is going to be healing. Or if you stun them. So your Q, your stun, and then your ult is going to let you proc this on the enemy. So it makes it so that, and it's only on a 2-second delay kind of, right? So this can be procced like 2 to 3 times during an all-in, and it makes it so that whenever you're fighting, your AD is going to be a little bit healthier, because Braum doesn't have a heal or a shield for his AD to like help in trades, and that's mostly what you're going to be battling into in Season 10. So it makes it so that your AD is a little healthier, and it just makes it so that fights are more in your favor. And none of the other runes in this row really matter anyways. And then come mid-game, Font of Life is going to be applying to all enemies, and then all of your allies are going to be proccing it. So versus just one of your allies proccing it, all 4 of them can. So that's when you really start getting massive value out of Font of Life, is come mid-game. So really, really solid rune for Braum. And the third row, you have options of basically more stats, more healing, and then blocking just flat damage. The way you can look at these is like Second Wind is for against ranged champions, Bone Plating is against melees, and then Conditioning is against like mage supports, in which you don't want to be eating their poke anyways. You can't even help your AD if like they're eating the poke. So you might as well just get more stats mid game, because you naturally lose the laning phase. But then come mid game, you can actually be tanky enough to like offset the extra items they may have from winning the laning phase, or just be tankier in general to have more value out of your champion, because Braum's job mostly is just eat as much damage as he can while applying his passive and hitting his Q and ult onto enemies. So conditioning is a very good option on Braum, as a lot of what you want to be doing is scaling into the mid game. If you're really trying to fight the laning phase into ranged champions, Second wind's really, really good as well, but I would just recommend conditioning for most. Third rune's going to be Overgrowth. Um, Revitalize gives you extra healing, but again, Braum doesn't really heal, and he doesn't shield. You do have Font of Life and Guardian, and then you may have Locket and whatnot come mid-game, but that's way, way outweighed by Overgrowth. What Overgrowth does is it makes it so that whenever you're near minions or monsters that die, basically just minions in the laning phase, you're going to be gaining extra health, and then once you absorb so many, then it gives you maximum percentage health. So this basically gives Braum about a ruby crystal just for existing in the lane, and that's what Braum wants to do anyways. It's fine for Braum to lose a laning phase because he scales so hard into the mid game, and then with this rune plus conditioning, you become just like a mid game force. You have basically a ruby crystal for free. You basically have like an Aegis from this for free. It's so valuable, man. These two runes help you scale. Guardian and Font of Life help you and your AD like contend in the bot lane early game. Secondary rune's going to be Magical Footwear and Biscuits. Free Boots on Braum is particularly very strong because similar to Conditioning and Overgrowth, this is going to help you spike like around the mid game because Braum has one of the best like early Merc Treads purchases because he wants to be blocking abilities for his team. So if he can eat the CC and then get out of it sooner, then he can retaliate as well. So like you would jump in front of your ally to block like let's say a Morg Binding or something, and then as it wears off, you could Q flash or even ult on the enemy. It's so powerful. That, and then once you complete tier 2 boots faster, then it helps you complete Knight's Vow afterwards. So then you come into the mid game with a completed Knight's Vow and Merc Treads, so you have armor and magic resist, and you're absorbing damage for your carry. It's so absolutely strong. If you get there, like with the 0-0 scoreline at like 14-17 minutes. So strong, man. That, and you're saving 300 gold in the laning phase. So in the laning phase, you can just be buying ruby crystal, cloth armor, etc. Okay, and then secondary rune in this tree is going to be biscuit delivery. Every 2 minutes you get a biscuit, so you basically get 2 of these before first recall, and then the other 2 you can use in like an extended laning phase. Biscuits restore 10% of your missing health and mana. Consuming a biscuit or selling it permanently increases your maximum mana by 50. Braum doesn't necessarily want to buy a mana item because his only good options would be like Zeke's, right? He wants to buy like Knight's Vow, Locket, etc. So getting maximum mana for free from this rune is pretty valuable. He doesn't necessarily have to spam his abilities, but it's nice to not be gated by mana, especially in like super extended fights or an extended laning phase. So this rune does help him a lot. And then you can also just look at this as like a tool to help you in all ends, because in fights in which it would come down to the wire, using a biscuit when you're at like 300 HP is going to give you more value. So as you're low, you use the biscuit and then it helps you survive during an all-in. If you don't have to use them, then you can sell them. And then it basically like offsets a bit of the cost for control words early. So very good rune. For the adaptive runes, it's going to be CDR, armor, magic resist. If you're not playing into an enchanter, or if you're playing into, say, a range lane in which you don't want to take the poke anyway, so let's say like Caitlyn Zyra, you could run like magic resist health just to have more scaling with the health, because Braum already has really high base armor, and then the first items that you're going to be buying anyways is going to be a ruby crystal cloth armor most games to build into Knight's Vow. So having the armor off the bat isn't so necessary. But then you have worse magic resist scaling because you don't get it naturally through levels. So you could just get the magic resist like this. But defaultly, it's just going to be armor magic resist, as you just negate both types of damage. And in the bot lane, you're most likely going to be taking both types of damage. If you're playing into a lane like, let's say, Senna Caitlyn, sure, just take double armor, or even take armor scaling health. You can change the type of resistances you run, like based on the matchups. Not so hard to think about. So these are the default runes I recommend for Braum. The only variations would be in the secondary runes, or in these rows, right? As you would have these two options to help you with laning. And then for the secondary runes, you could run Presence of Mind Tenacity, but this page is more useful on On champions that like don't have like self peel tools. With Braum, he has like a he has a slow to apply, he has a jump to get away, he has an E to block damage, he has his ult to negate like enemies. So having the extra tenacity from this not so useful, and then having the extra mana is easierly acquired from Biscuits. So I don't really value that page. This you could run sorcery secondary if you're playing into mage bot lanes. Like let's say you're playing against Vigar Zyra or something. You could run no lord but transcendence because you're already like kind of conceding the laning phase and then like set up to scale into the mid game. So you're gonna get the 10 CDR from transcendence. This will help you in team fights to get more Qs off and then get maybe 2 Es off. Because if you block 2 mages abilities, you've won the fight completely. And then what no lord does, it makes it so that whenever you get low, you're going to get a magic damage shield. So it helps you in the laning phase and just helps you later in the game. Very solid second rune page. But defaultly, like this is just so high value on Braum. You could even run Biscuits approach velocity. You could run stopwatch Biscuits. You could run stopwatch approach velocity. But those options are just like more snowball in my opinion. The way I think you should look to play Braum is just like scale as hard as possible because he's so brutal come mid game if he's not punished early. So these are the runes I recommend for Braum. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment, contact me on any social media. I'll get an answer to you. And if you're interested in some support gameplay, you can check out my Twitch, twitch.tv/Sawyer Nelson. I'll probably be playing Senna come start of Season 10. So hope this video helped. Peace out. Bye-bye. See ya. Bye-bye. See ya later. Bye.